Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Journey of Self. This is your coach, Manaz Amjad, and in this particular series, my attention is to assist you with awareness and knowledge so that you find clarity and direction if you happen to be going through a difficult time. The title of our today's session is What is it that we can do about things that we do not exercise any control on? It's oftentimes we experience, friends, that when we go through some kind of crisis in our life, there are various ways and several ways to kind of find a solution to it. One of the easiest ways could be that you draw two columns on a piece of paper or in a notebook, and on both the columns, to the column onto your right, give a heading, what you can control, and onto a column to the left, give a heading, what you can't control. This is one of the simplest ways to get immediate clarity when we are extremely feeling stressed out and overwhelmed with the crisis that we find ourselves in. And when you have both the options of how much control you exercise into a given difficult circumstance, specifically to an area where you can't control, also can help you and throw in some insight as to what can you do about that. In our session today, I would like to talk about this particular column, wherein we have no control over things in a difficult circumstance. Now, what do we do here? It's easy to write, but it's really difficult and a very common experience we all undergo when we are going through a difficult time and we find there's a huge list which we exercise no control over. This also leads to a sense of helplessness, something we all experience in our difficult times and has been also known as one of the major reasons for feeling stressed out, feeling anxious, and overwhelmed. With the clarity that what you cannot control or can't control, one of the very effective strategy is underneath this column, you may have a long list of things that you can't control. But if you ask yourself a simple question, a question which is in one statement, and it goes like this: what are my options here? Because we are now well aware of things we can't control. But through this question, you get to understand what are your options here. And once you list them down, it makes a lot of sense, a lot of insights you gain through what you can do about things you have no control over. So instead of getting into a cycle of self-pity, which is not something a good cycle to be in, instead of feeling helpless or feeling absolutely overwhelmed and confused of what you would do, ask yourself, what are my options here? I'll give you an example. This is from my own personal life. One of my distant cousin, when she was diagnosed with MS, multiple sclerosis, and she was having a very chronic episode, a relapse of her. It's an autoimmune disease, and she was completely immovable, confined to a bed, and we were running a lot of MRI tests for her. She has kids, a family, but each one of us were feeling, along with her family, her kids, her spouse, and her parents, a sense of helplessness, because all we were doing was just running from pillar to post, from one doctor to the other, in search of a medicine which could help her. It turned out that it was a very chronic case and there was nothing much we could do. And this is precisely that time where I use this technique. This was taught to me many years ago by my coach. What are my options here? So we have a person very close to me. I equally feel the pain that she was in, but there's not enough that I could do. So instead of getting into a cycle of stress, helplessness, self pity, when I asked myself this question, what are my options here? I did found three answers to it. Well, I'm not sharing this in here due to the sake of privacy, because this is more related to her. I quoted this example from my personal life just to help you understand how you can find some options even amidst a chaos that you find yourself in. So, friends, don't lose hope. Don't feel helpless, even though majority of times in our life we actually do not exercise any control on things. But the best thing that we could do is breathe in, take a pause, and ask ourselves, what are my options here? So the call to action for you is share this technique with someone you think can benefit. Try it out for yourself in case you find yourself in similar situation, or just bookmark it so that you can come back to it and practice it. Well, that's all for today, and I'll talk to you soon.